He wasn't born with talent. He wasn't raised in wealth. He didn't have the body of an athlete. And when he dreamed of the Olympics, the world laughed. But he didn't stop. In 1988, in the biting cold of Calgary, a man soared through the sky. Not like a champion, but like a storybook hero. This is the unbelievable, emotional, and awe-inspiring journey of Eddie the Eagle Edwards. A man who didn't win a medal, but won the hearts of millions. If you've ever been doubted, discouraged, or dismissed, stay with us. This story is for you. Michael Edwards was born on December 5, 1963, in Cheltenham, England. To the world, he would become Eddie the Eagle. But before the nickname, the headlines, and the cinematic fame, he was just a kid with poor eyesight, thick glasses, and a fire in his heart. He was different. Not sports star different, not gifted child different, but awkward, clumsy, and often the last one picked in gym class. He didn't grow up in a mansion with personal trainers. His father was a plasterer. His mother stayed home. They weren't poor, but luxury was a language they didn't speak. And yet, Eddie had one dream. Not to be rich, not to be famous, but to stand among the world's greatest athletes. He wanted to be an Olympian, not for the medals, not for the glory, but because it felt like magic. Men and women from every corner of the world standing together, chasing excellence. While other kids played video games or kicked soccer balls, Eddie trained. With no coach, no funding, no roadmap. He sprinted up hills, jumped off garden sheds, practiced balance on homemade beams. He turned ordinary life into a training ground. At night, he'd tape pictures of Olympians above his bed, whispering to himself, "Someday, that'll be me." As he grew older, Eddie tried downhill skiing. He was passionate, but passion isn't always enough. Competing with second-hand gear, he tried to qualify for the British ski team for the 1984 Olympics in Sarajevo. He trained alone, fell hard, got up bruised, and tried again. But he failed. That failure could have ended his story. It didn't. Instead, it lit a new fire. One day, watching television, Eddie stumbled upon ski jumping. He saw men fly through the air like birds. Elegant, fearless, weightless. Then a thought hit him. Britain doesn't have a ski jumping team. What if I became the first? It was outrageous. It was insane. And it was exactly what Eddie needed. Ski jumping was far more dangerous than downhill skiing. You needed years of training, elite coaching, aerodynamic technique, and, most importantly, fearlessness. Eddie had none of those, but what he did have was grit. He sold his car, borrowed money, worked odd jobs, and flew to Finland, the ski jumping capital of the world. He couldn't afford real coaching, so he trained himself. Surrounded by seasoned athletes, Eddie stood out. Not for skill, but for heart. He was mocked, ignored, but never discouraged. He practiced until his legs gave out. He jumped until his knees ached. He fell dozens of times until his face was bloodied and his glasses cracked. Each time, he stood up again. He became known at the Finnish ski jumps as the Crazy Brit. Not in admiration, but in disbelief. What was this man doing? He didn't belong here, but that's exactly why he kept going. Then came the Calgary Winter Olympics in 1988. Eddie, now officially recognized as Britain's first ski jumper, was headed to the biggest stage in the world, but he was not greeted as a hero. The Olympic Committee tried to keep him out. His credentials were barely acceptable. His training, unorthodox. His jumps, barely competitive. But rules were rules, and Eddie had earned his spot. He arrived in Calgary wearing second-hand gear, foggy glasses, and a smile that refused to quit. The media didn't know what to make of him. A ski jumper from Britain? Wearing thick-rimmed glasses under his goggles? Finishing last in every trial? He became an instant global curiosity. They called him a joke, a sideshow. But Eddie didn't flinch. He knew the crowd wasn't laughing at him. They were laughing with him, because what he represented was beautiful. He wasn't an athlete groomed from birth. He wasn't a millionaire with sponsorships. He was us, every dreamer, every misfit, every person who had dared to believe in something more. When Eddie stepped up for his jump, the world watched, not expecting glory, but hoping for courage. He soared 70 meters into the air, not gracefully, not expertly, but triumphantly. He landed, wobbled, threw his arms up in victory. The crowd erupted. Then came the 90-meter jump. Again, Eddie launched off the ramp, defying expectations, gravity, and logic. He landed again, smiling from ear to ear. He had finished dead last, and yet he was the most celebrated athlete in Calgary. Why? Because Eddie proved that sometimes the dream matters more than the result. After the Olympics, Eddie was a star. Not because of medals, but because of meaning. He returned to Britain to massive media attention. Talk shows, interviews, book deals. He even released a song that charted in Finland. Eddie was now a symbol, a quirky, lovable, determined symbol of human spirit. But fame is fickle. Soon after, the International Olympic Committee changed the qualification rules, making it nearly impossible for someone like Eddie to ever compete again. Some say it was because they were embarrassed. Eddie? He just smiled and said, "That's okay." I had my moment, because that's the kind of man Eddie was. He didn't hold grudges. He had flown, and that was enough. In the years that followed, Eddie returned to a quiet life. He became a builder, a father, a regular man. But to millions, he was a legend. People would approach him on the street, tears in their eyes, and say, "Because of you, I didn't quit." He became a motivational speaker, a real-life reminder that greatness isn't defined by gold medals, but by golden hearts. In 2016, Hollywood brought his story to the big screen. Eddie the Eagle starred Taron Egerton as Eddie and Hugh Jackman as his fictional coach. The film was a hit, not for drama, but for soul. Audiences cried, cheered, and once again, Eddie flew. But his story wasn't about entertainment. It was about hope. In a world obsessed with winning, Eddie showed us the magic of showing up. In a world where athletes were brands, he showed us the beauty of being real. He never cursed his critics, never mocked his rivals, never begged for approval. He just kept flying, on his terms. So what can we learn from Eddie? A man with no funding, no support, and no trophies, yet remembered more vividly than gold medalists? It starts with belief. When Eddie was told he couldn't make it, he believed he could. When he was laughed at, he laughed louder. When he fell, he got up stronger. That's power. Today, we live in a world where success is measured in likes, followers, and dollar signs. But real success? It's jumping off that ramp even when everyone says you shouldn't. It's believing in something with your whole heart, even if you're the only one who does. It's daring to fly, when your wings are made of hope, not hype. Think of every person who's ever told you, "You're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, you don't have what it takes." Let them talk, then take your shot. Because if Eddie Edwards can become a global icon, then so can you, not by copying his path, but by honoring his spirit. Are you an artist afraid to share your work? A parent struggling to build a better life? A dreamer stuck in a 9-to-5? This is your sign. Build your ramp. Take your leap. The fall will be hard. It will hurt. People will laugh. Let them. Because the moment you rise, bloodied, bruised, but unbroken, that's the moment your story begins. Eddie the Eagle. Edwards didn't win gold. He didn't need to. He became something rarer, a living, breathing symbol of persistence. He soared with no guarantee of landing. And that, friends, is what makes him unforgettable. So if this story moved you, don't just sit there. Take action. Like this video. Comment with your favorite moment. And share it with someone who needs hope right now. Because Eddie's story isn't just entertainment, it's a call to fly. And don't forget to subscribe. Because here we tell real stories, Stories that shake hearts. Stories that light fires. Stories that remind us what it means to be human. You've heard of champions with medals, but today you met a champion with heart. Eddie, we salute you. And to every underdog watching, your ramp is waiting, so go. Jump, fly, become the eagle.